Yo everybody, my name is Lampy Moth, and today I'm going to teach you how to rig your very own Live2d model from start to finish with the simplest of terms possible, because if you're someone like me, the technical terms kind of become rather difficult to understand, and I explain what those terminologies are, as well as give simpler terms along the way. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to these three little boxes up here. This is going to be your texture atlas. What is the texture atlas for? Well, let's click and find out. As you can see, as soon as we click, that there's all the little parts that make up your Live2d model. The texture atlas is mostly there for, it keeps everything exactly where it needs to be, so you don't have any trouble. Now, what sort of trouble do I mean? Well, let's give a perfect example. Let's take this wing over here and let's move it over to that foot over there. And as you will see, they overlap. Now, what happens when they overlap? Let's find out. You can tell that something went wrong with the model because two parts have overlapped. You'll see that there's a part of boot where the wing is supposed to be, and there's a part of wing where the boot is supposed to be. Now, let's say you have a situation like that where your model kind of messes up because of the texture atlas not being properly spaced out. Well, all you gotta do, go back to this box up here with the three squares, click on that. We're gonna go back to that box where we had that issue. Now, there's two ways you can go about that. You can either manually move this to where nothing's in that spot, but let's say you have a lot of things that are moved all over the place and you don't want to play Tetris all day. What you can do is go to the automatic layout, which is at the top right over here, and you'll get this automatic layout message that pops up. The only thing you're going to want to do is just put a margin that's, over 1. Me personally, I like to put a 10 for the margin and just click OK. Everything should be separated properly as normal. After that, you just click OK. Now with that out of the way, the next step you're going to want to do is select a part on your model. Doesn't matter which part, you just got to select one part. Because I want to show you something. For this situation, we're going to select this part of the hair, because it's one of the biggest parts, it'll make it a lot easier for me to explain. So, as you can see, now that this part is selected, you notice that there's a box with 4 dots on it. That dot basically determines where or how you can warp your model. But as you can see, it's only 4 dots, so you can't really do too much with it. You can't move anything in the middle, you can't do any of that sort of stuff, and that's okay, because there is a way to fix that. What you need to do is go to this triangle with the 3 dots up here that says auto. It's an auto mesh generator, which means it will set up a mesh which will allow you to shape and warp the model how you see fit, not to be mistaken with a deformer. We'll explain what a deformer is later down the road. So we're going to select this, and as you can see, when we click on that button, a generator box window pops up. Now for this thing, there's a lot of complicated stuff, and it's going to be very, very intimidating. Do not worry about any of that stuff. What you mainly want to focus on is the thing that says preset, and just select that one in particular, and 3 tabs will pop up. You will have standard, little, and heavy. That will give you a mesh depending on how much you want to add to it. If you go with little, you can see not many dots on it, but it's still able to move. You go with standard, you're going to get a couple more, and obviously heavy is going to be, it's going to be a heavy set of meshes there. Me personally, I like to go with heavy, especially for parts of the models where it's going to need to move a lot. In particular, the hair is a good example, because the hair needs to bounce, it needs to sway, it needs to swing, it needs to do a lot of stuff. So for the hair, you want to put heavy. For other situations, you might be able to, slide with just standard, depending on the feature. For example, the arms. The arms may not move all that much, so you can actually get away with just selecting the arm in particular and just putting standard for it. But before we continue from there, what we're going to want to do is select all the parts now. You can either go with it in one of 2 ways. You can either select all the parts, but sometimes the mesh might not always work when you do it that way. So sometimes it might be better to, unfortunately, go with the route where you manually select every part, maybe in groups of 3 or 4, maybe individually, but to be safe, it's best to select them in groups of 3 or 4. Now, you want to add that auto mesh to all of the parts with the exception of the eyebrow, the eyelash, and the mouth lines. We're gonna need to do that in a different way, and I'll explain that one as we get further down that road. So in the meantime, we're gonna add all the meshes. We might skip this part right quick because it's just basically select every part and then put heavy.
A few moments later.
Alright, so we got all the meshes set up, but as you noticed, certain parts of that auto mesh did not work out quite right. Do not fret. There is a way to fix that situation right there, and I'm going to show you what that is. This time, instead of going for the auto mesh, which is the one with the 3 dots, we're actually going to go to the one that's right next to it, the one that shows that little ink pen. That one's a manual mesh. So what we got to do is select the part that seems to be a little messed up, select that manual mesh, which is right there in the middle, click that button, and then you will see that a bunch of dots just popped up. And that's okay. Well, everything went transparent except for that one spot that we needed, and that's okay. We just got to click on one of the parts that is looking a little flat, and then we just add a new triangle right there. Just to be safe, we're also going to add, we're just basically going to continue the kite, if that makes any sense. And then from that point, we got to select the other parts and just fix them all up as you can see. Just add the kite to the ends of each point so they'll be able to work properly later down the road. And just continue looking to see if there are any other extra points that are needed to be added. We're not going to add a kite right there. We're just going to add the finishing part of the triangle. And then we continue on from that point forward until everything is all set up. You know what? We're just going to put OK right here. I'll do the rest of them later, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like. Well, actually, we kind of need to fix this one up a little bit, so we're going to go back to that auto mesh. And if you want to just move things around, just click the dot that you're looking for and just readjust it until everything goes according to plan. Click on that check mark up top, click on that, and then boom, it actually starts to stick out now. I'm going to show you what it looks like beforehand, which is this side. And you can see it's definitely missing a couple of parts in comparison to the sections where we just finished things off. So if you want to fix it up, go to the manual mesh generator. That'll fix a lot of your problems when it comes to auto mesh not, completing everything. All right, so now that everything is set up, we can get into the real factors of Live2d rigging, which are deformers and parameters. And if those words terrify you, that's okay. They sound complicated to me too. Or I want to explain it in a better way. Think of your Live2d factors as a car. Now, in order for your car to move, there's a lot of factors that go into it, but the main 3 factors is 1, you need the vehicle itself. That's your Live2d model right here. The deformers are the wheels that get your car moving, and the parameters steer the direction of which way the car wheels are going to go. And if that doesn't explain anything yet, don't worry, we still got a long way to go. So first, let's start with the deformers. There's 2 ways to go about that one, but we're going to start with just one factor of the deformers first. So if you want to set up a deformer, what you're going to need to do is select some of your model parts. Like, let's go for the whole headband for this factor. Once you got your part selected, what you want to do is go to this one box up here that looks like a fishing net. Select that fishing net box, and that'll allow you to create a deformer. Now, it's going to say a bunch of stuff, and it's going to sound very complicated, but do not worry about it right now. What you want to do is just put create for the moment. You will see that a green box just popped up. Now, what does that green box do? That is going to be your tires, which means you get to move this and shape it however you like. Warp it, shape it, move it, all of that sort of weird stuff. This is what's going to help your model move in the long run. So now that we're going to need to register them to a parameter, that would be the dials right here. Make sure that you have your specific deformer that you want registered selected. Go to your parameter, make sure that one's selected, and then you can go up to the tabs up here. These tabs will help you set up keyforms. The keyforms will be the dots that you'll see real soon. And in this case, we're going to need about 3 keyforms. We're going to need the left, the right, and the center. We got one tab up here that shows 2, and we got a tab up here that shows 3. We need to click on the one that shows 3. You'll see 3 green dots pop up. If we take this red circle and we click on it and hold, you'll see that that red dot moves around. That is basically going to tell us what we're registering things to. So for example, now that we got our deformer registered to our parameter here, if we move it to the right, absolutely nothing happens. That's because now we need to get to the part where we manually register things. All the warping that the deformer is going to do, it only matters once you get it registered to a parameter and you move it in a specific direction that you want that parameter to go. So for example, let's say the red circle in the parameter setting, that's the dial over here, that's the steering wheel. Let's say we move it to the right, it's going to stay stuck like that. But if we move it, or if we take this red circle that's on the parameter first, move it to the right over here, and then we take this green box, our warp deformer, we move it over to this side. Heck, we can even go a little further and beyond with this. We could do what the name of this thing entails. Warp it a bit. So let's warp it like that. Now, if we go back to our parameter setting, and we take that red circle, or we click and hold that red circle, you may have noticed a little bit of a movement there. That's because that is what it's going to look like whenever it turns to the right, for now anyway. If we bring it back to the center, you'll notice that it moves back to normal. And vice versa could be said about the other side. If we move it to the left, nothing happens. Unless we register it, we can move it over there to the left like so. Warp it however we feel like, all of that. And now we have it moved. So now we got everything that we wanted. If we move it to the right, it moves to the right. If we move it to the left, now it moves to the left. And just to be safe, in case you're wondering, wait, that's all you're going to show us? Do not worry. Later down the road, you're going to see how you're able to make your model move very similar like this. Obviously, the physics settings aren't there, but long story short, at the end of these videos, if you wanted to know more, you'll be able to get your model moving very similar to this at the end of it. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.